actually held a Blood on the Clocktower night, and by we I mean Mr. Ralph. He held the night, and I finally got to go to it, Ralph.
I
I
know.
finally got to one.
We've been doing these nights once a month for about 7 or 8 months now,
Yep.
Damien and I, and it's just been growing and growing. We're getting a
Yeah.
solid 25 people there constantly for the last 3 or 4 months, and it's the
hmm
first time you were able to attend. So I wanted to hear from you. What was it like playing Blood on the Clock Tower?
Oh, look, it was a lot of fun. So the whole night itself, there was about 25 to 30 people there, as you said. You had two scripts going at all times throughout the night, and I think about three different games went on. I know the advanced script had one big game and then a second basic one, but the basic script, we got through at least three games. Four games actually. I played
Yeah,
three, and one of them I sat behind you to have a look at the game master role. So I was really interested in that. I really enjoyed it. I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, you'll know that I am very, not skeptical, but I'm a bit trepid on original Werewolf. I do like Resistance and Secret Hitler and those kind of games. So I do like those. I do love hidden role games. But the way that you were selling me on Blood on the Clock Tower, when you would say things like, oh, there's a logic puzzle here and stuff. Whereas in my mind, these games are not about the logic puzzle. It's about calling your friend a dirty,
Yeah.
rotten
so
liar and then trying to convince them from that point. But I will say that the amount of roles and the way that they interact, so in the basic script, did not make me feel like that at all. It actually was like, oh, you could have your chance to lie, but it actually was a lot of fun trying to figure out
Yeah.
a puzzle here.
Ralph, I'm going to jump in quickly because you're definitely more of an expert on Clock Tower than what I am. But I will say that so with Troubles Brewing, which is the introductory script, I find that to be um, obviously more beginner friendly. It's really good because you can whip through a number of games relatively quickly, so you can get 2 or 3 games in a night and reasonably comfortably. Um, I actually find that to be um, more
engaging?
more engaging, more detective like
Yes.
because I find it easier to grok all the roles at the same time. Some of the more advanced scripts, they're fun, not because I find them more detective like, but because they just start to get really silly and wobbly.
Yeah.
And I think the 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 thing I like about Blood on the Clock Tower is that it isn't. I've I've never seen it as a you do this you do this script and then as you get a little bit better you do that script and eventually you do is it sex and violence I think is sex
Yeah,
and
Sex and Violence, and
violence is the last one.
the next one is Bad Moon Rising, and the
Yeah,
following one is Sex
then
and
yeah,
Violence.
that's right. Um,
SECTS, not the
yes,
bad word. As
and
it took me until after the game and
It's
I
a
read it and I went,
it's a bad or a
oh,
good word.
yeah,
It depends who you
oh.
ask.
and violets is in the flower.
Yeah, exactly right.
Apologies, listeners. Like again, I'm still kind of getting over COVID here, but the point I'm trying to make, and Ralph, I'll definitely hand the floor over to you in a second, is that I think the thing I love about the scripts is that it isn't. It's less about I'm getting I've got more experience. I'm now going to go through the various scripts. It's I want to walk in. I want to have a sort of like more talkative, but really more detective like sort of night. I might do Troubles Brewing. Whereas if I had a couple beers and I'm just up for like one of the most wobbliest games of Blood on the Clock Tower ever, I'll probably jump to one of the more advanced scripts. Just sit there, beer in hand, and have a laugh the entire time because it sometimes it can get absolutely bonkers silly in some of those other scripts.
Well, I tell you what, you can have that experience, the silly experience, even in Trouble Brewing.
Hmm.
For example, there was one game I was legitimately a Slayer, and I did my shot on the first day and just missed. So Slayer is I pick a player. If they're the demon, they die. Game
Yeah.
over. Good team wins. I wasted my shot on the first day, and then I pretended I was really the fortune teller, and I was bluffing as the sailor, as the Slayer, and people believed me. so, um, so I was just causing chaos, but for the good team though. So I found the real fortune teller, and I trusted them, and I gave out their information, posing as them, and you can say whatever you want and get away with it.
Yeah.
The next step up is Bad Moon Rising. it changes the game. You'll like this one because it's not about the mechanical information in terms of detective works. Like, you don't get players that go, oh, you sit next to one evil person. You don't get that. You actually have to read people, and then the clues you actually get are in the night phase, where you notice, oh, you woke up, 3 people died. Why did they die? And you have to work out, why did they die. So it changes the game entirely. And what I love about the last script is the minions, because the
Mm.
minions, there's one called the evil twin, which is always one of my favorites. I'm a legitimate good character, and I wake up and I get told, oh, your evil twin is this player. And that evil twin gets told, oh, Ralph is that type of character. And he knows you're the evil twin. And we both wake up on the first day and go, right, that guy, he's the evil twin minion. Let's kill him. But then that guy says the same thing and goes, oh, Ralph's the evil twin. And it just causes chaos, because if the bad evil twin is executed, that's fine. Game keeps going. But if the good evil twin is executed, the game's over. The evil wins. So,
Yeah,
so the
okay.
minions, you can mix and match this game, which is what I love. So you can have the chaotic minions even in Trouble Brewing, and just the game is completely fresh.
Yeah.
I would like to point out to if you're listening to this and you hear us saying the word script, the good thing about Blood on the Clocktower, which I didn't actually realize, which is that the four scripts that come in the game, three scripts that come in the game are essentially catered experiences where you don't take
20
roles from one
characters,
script to another script. It's basically, I hand you a menu, and this menu says, in this game, we can only have these roles. We may not have all of them, but these are the only roles that can be played in this game. And so what that ends up meaning is that what I didn't understand coming into the night was that was actually the case, which is that you don't just pick random roles and then the game master does it. It's like, no, there's specific ways you can play each of these scripts, and that then in turn makes the experience better.
Mind you,
So
you can do that, and I would recommend you do that when everyone you're playing with is more experienced. So
Yeah.
the game is
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Yeah, so
and you have to be you have to be very confident as a storyteller, because there are a number of roles that get information on day one and then nothing else. There are a number of roles that get information at night. There are a number of roles that only get information under certain circumstances, such as when a townsperson is lynched or when someone dies during the night.
And it gets chaotic. Like, I played there's a
yeah.
character called the Tea Lady, which I got wrong. And the Tea Lady is your neighbors can't die, but it's only if they're both good. I didn't realize that when I first ran it, and just caused some confusion. So you really need to. What I love about this game, it's kind of like legal text. It's all in the wording and how it's phrased, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I did have one really cool moment that stuck out in my mind, which was that in our final game of the night, I got given the washing woman, and the washing woman basically says, you find out that one person is a role. You find out a role, and 2 people are, one of them is that role.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't know what it was, and I got told that either this gentleman, I think his name is Brad, or this girl named Neve, one of them was the monk. And I'm like, cool, all right. So my first round, I basically spent the first 4 or 5 minutes trying to figure this out, and I had this moment where I went up to Brad offering him to do a 3-for-3 info trade. So I'll tell him 3 roles, and he tells me 3 roles to try and figure out to get some more information. And he said, nah, that's too specific. How about I do a half for half? And I go, what does that mean? He goes, well, how about I tell you if I'm on this side of the menu or that side of the menu? And I went, sweet, tell me that. And so he goes, all right, I'm on the right-hand side of the menu, and the monk was on the left. And I went, okay, cool. So he didn't tell me the monk, and he could have been lying, right? So I didn't know. But then I went over to Neve literally after that conversation finished. And I think Ralph was in that trade of information as well. And so I went over to Neve, and Neve, I said to her, okay, look, I'll do a 3-for-3 with you. And she goes, yeah, you go first. And I said that to her, you go first. So she did. And one of the roles that she said was the monk. And I went, right. And I just, in my head, I just went, I know she's the monk now. Like, in my mind, I had to let her go first. I said mine. So then I took her further away from the conversations so that no one would hear her. And I just went, okay, so I know you're the monk. And her face just went, how the hell did he know, right? And I had this moment of like, I had to tell her that I'm the washing woman. And I told her how I got there. And then but then we immediately had a trust for the rest of the game, which allowed us then to use that information to get the stuff. And they're like, sweet. and the win. So I actually played 3 games, but all 3 of them I was on the good side. I never got to play on the evil side. So I'm like, no, I really wanted to be one. But that's just
Yeah.
like, that's the luck of drawing out of the bag.
It's
Sometimes,
kind
yes,
of
what happens.
this game's kind of like Coup in a way, where the players need to realize they can bluff, and you could like be okay with bluffing. Like I just went straight up to a person that night, and I was like, "Oh, if I guess your character, you're gonna confirm that it is." And I got him to agree to that. And I was just like, "You're the Raven Keeper," and I was like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, you are. I got it." But that was actually my character. I was just messing with him.
Yeah,
And you know,
it's
and the inverse of that is also true. I think one of the hardest things that I've found with this game, particularly with new players, is that one, they're not willing to bluff, but they're not willing to tell the truth either. So they sit there in silence. And I had one game where I was the chef, and I was the only one talking. For anyone who knows me, that's probably not anything new. I can talk under wet cement with rocks in my mouth. But I was the only one in the circle talking. And so I just announced I was a chef. And I kept prefacing this. I say, look, this is what I found out. I found out that there are no pairs of evil players sitting next to each other. So the evil players are separate, and I kept saying, unless I'm drunk, this is what I know. But because no one was saying anything, that was the only information the group had to go on.
right.
We played the whole game. I realized on the second to last day that I was absolutely drunk on day 1, and we had prefaced all of our information on the thing.
Yeah.
And the game finished, and Evil Team won. Like it was just an easy game for them to win, and that's fine. But the cool thing about it was that it actually wasn't me who said it; it was someone else in the circle who said we lost it on day 1 because no one was talking, and that's such a big thing in this game. And I appreciate it's difficult, but particularly with new players, I would say overshare. Especially if you're a member of the good team. Like you have to find ways to do that because, like Werewolf or rather, well, maybe not
That's the
Werewolf,
thing.
but
I can't
certainly
compare
other
this game
social
to
games.
anything
No,
else.
you
To be
can't. No,
honest.
I was about to say like Werewolf. No, it's nothing like Werewolf. But you have to be able to you have to be able to talk. You have to be able to, you have to be communicative in this game. That's sort of like the best advice I would give anyone. Because otherwise, unfortunately, the game just falls over if you're not.
I think that's the case with a lot of hidden role games, but yeah, look, I'm looking forward to the next one. The community
Yeah,
was
me
really
too.
good. We had people come from the other side of Sydney, which was nearly an hour away. So like people came out, they were willing to come out. So this game does have quite a cult following, which is great, and the
Yeah, it's
community
just
is
growing as well.
highly passionate about it, which is great. So look, I already put the next event in our calendar.
Yeah, I think
It
we
was
got the next one the 26th of May.
Yeah, so it's
Which
in
is
like
quite exciting.
2 weeks from now. So I'm really keen, really looking forward to it. Anyway, that was just a review of our Blood on the Clock Tower evening. So that's a bit of a review of some of the big events that we've had over, but we do want to have